Assalamu alaikum. I am a public school and college Khanewal. It's class 10 biology lecture. We are going to start our new chapter 14, reproduction, and the topic is the reproduction and methods of asexual reproduction. Okay, let's start with the reproduction. I would like to know from you students, do you know about the definition of reproduction? It is simply, in the term of biology, you can say that the multiplication of an organism, increase in the number of an individuals, is known as the reproduction. Reproduction of or procreation or breeding is the biological process by which new individual organisms, offsprings, you can say that offsprings or individuals are produced from their parents. Reproduction is a fundamental feature of all non-life. Each individual organisms exist as the result of reproduction. The population is increasing day by day just because of this reproduction. The reproduction rate is high, the more population is there. So simply you can say increase in number of the offsprings in an area is called the reproduction. So let's see about reproduction. We are having here the two methods of reproduction, the sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Let's see the difference between them. Yes, you're well known about the reproduction is the production of new members of a species, replacing those who die due to the old age, disease, competition, etc., etc. Now we have divided the reproduction into two types. One is the sexual and the other one is the asexual. If we talk about the sexual reproduction, it involves into two parents who have 6 organs which produce the sex cells, or we call them the gametes. So simply sexual reproduction involves in two parents who have gametes, and gametes are the reproductive cells, right? And next is the asexual reproduction involves one parent and there are no gametes, means no sex cells are there involved. Only one parent is involved in this type of reproduction. Clear? So let's see the type of asexual reproduction. We are going through the asexual reproduction. There are, you can see here the different methods of asexual reproduction here. One is the, so first one is the binary fission, then fragmentation, vegetative propagation, budding, and parthenogenesis. If we see this type of asexual reproduction, that is known as a binary fission, it takes place in the bacteria. And if we see the fragmentation, it takes place in the flatworms. Vegetative propagation take place in strawberries and many other species. We will see it later. Budding take place in hydra, parthenogenesis, whiptail lizards. We'll see each of them one by one. Today we are going to discuss about the binary fission and the fragmentation. So let's come towards the binary fission. What is binary fission? Binary means two and fission means breakdown, right? So when one cell is divided or break into two cells, it is called the binary fission. A type of asexual reproduction where parent cell divides, resulting in two identical cells. If you remember the definition of mitosis class, you may remember that mitosis says one cell is divided into two cells with the same number of chromosomes as were present in their parent cells, right? Yes. In the same way, for the binary fission, we can say that one cell is divided into two cells, and that two new cells, identical cells, they will be the identical cells, means they will be resembled to their parents. Each cell has a potential to grow to the size of the original cells. Now, see through a diagram, binary fission. Okay, before telling you the binary fission, let me tell you that where it is taking place. It takes place in unicellular organisms. And for unicellular, we are having here this bacteria, right? Bacteria is a unicellular organism. You know about it? Is it bacteria? Is bacteria unicellular or multicellular?
Unicellular.
Unicellular.
Yes, it is unicellular, right? One more thing, where does binary fission take place? I told you it takes place in unicellular organisms. Beside it, it takes place in the protozoans. right? Uh, there are the multicellular organisms, and for that purpose, here we are having one example is the amoeba, right? And for third, we say is that some invertebrates also have the process of binary fission, and for that purpose, we will see planaria. This is the structure of the planaria. We will see it later. So need to remember three things here that binary fission, if somebody asks you the question that how binary fission take place in the unicellular organisms, what should be your answer for that? Your answer must consist of this bacterial binary fission, right? And if somebody asks you about the binary fission in protozoans, then your answer must be according to this amoeba's example, right? And if somebody asks you about the invertebrates binary fission, then you're supposed to tell them about the planaria. Now I'm going to tell you also each of them one by one. Let's see about the binary fission. As you know, binary means two and fission means breakdown. So it's a type of sexual reproduction. A parent cell split into two individuals, identical cells, two daughter cells. Here you can see this is a parent cell, right? It is having its nucleus, its DNA. And now what happened? If you see in bacteria, you may remember there is an extracellular DNA, right? And that DNA is called the plasmid, is also present here. But now just see on this DNA. You can see this is the purple color DNA. What happened? This DNA becomes double, right? The DNA is copied, you can say also, and each copy moves to the opposite sides of the cell. So here are the two copies now. First in parent cell it was one. Now it has been copied, and here are two DNAs. Both of them are moving towards their opposite poles. Now what you can see that the membrane, a barrier from the center of the cell, you can see that the membrane is getting invaginate inside here, and it is making the center of the cell. Is it happening so? Yes. Now what will happen next, that separation of the two cells will become here as this invagination gets complete. Now what happened next? Two independent identical cells forms here. So simply the binary fission definition says the same, a parent cell split into two daughter cells. Same happened here. How? The DNA copied, after DNA copied, the cell membrane gets invaginated and it is splitting the parent cell into two daughter cells. The daughter cells have identical genetic information DNA. Yes, it is also having the same information as was present in their parent cell. Are you done with this binary fission in bacteria?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now let's see towards next is the binary fission. Now we are seeing the binary fission in the protozoans, and the example is given here about amoeba. This is the structure of amoeba. Again, same procedure will be happen there because it's the process of binary fission. Here's the parent cell, nucleus divided into two nuclei, simply two nuclei you can see here. Now what happened, that cell is parent body is dividing, cytoplasm divides. Now you can see this is the cytoplasm has been dividing, and it has divided here. Now two daughter cells are here. So simple, the definition of binary fission is also, you can see here one parent cell is divided into two daughter cells with the same number of chromosomes are as present in the parent cells. Should I move ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next is the binary fission, how it takes place in the invertebrates, right? Simply they can ask about the fragmentation in planaria. They can also ask that how does, it's not fragmentation, it's binary fission, sorry. So they can also ask that how does binary fission take place in the invertebrates. And you know that for invertebrates you are having this example, and this example is of planaria. This is the body of planaria, parent planaria. Now you can see that its body is also getting invaginating here. It is dividing. It's the nucleus is also divided here, right? This one and this one. Now this constriction is making two daughter planaria. One is here and one is here. So binary fission has also taken place here. Now come towards the multiple fission. How multiple fission take place. In multiple fission, what happened that if you see the definition, a single cell divides into many daughter cells simultaneously. And its example is Plasmodium and amoeba here. You can see that this is one Plasmodium, and inside of it, you can see this green color of many nuclei are here, right? A single cell divides into many daughter cells. These are so many nuclei are here, and each of them will produce one new offspring. It means they are multiple, and the multiple offsprings will be produced here, right? So let's see about the multiple fission in the amoeba with the help of a diagram. Okay, here is one parent amoeba. You can see here, this is the parent amoeba. And what happened after, you can see here that it has created one cyst around it. Cyst, you can say that it is a covering like structure that is embedding this amoeba. So they produce a hard wall. You can simply say that cyst is the hard wall or a covering that is produced around the amoeba's body. When does this cyst produced? In the condition of unfavorable condition, when the environment is not suitable for its growth and its reproduction, then what happened? It creates a wall around it that is known as the cyst. Okay, now what happened that when favorable condition comes back, right? Now it created it in unfavorable condition, but as soon the favorable conditions comes, what happened at the time? The nucleus of parent divides. You can see this is the single nucleus. Now it has been divided, many nuclei are here, right, of purple colors. You can notice them. By repeated division, this nucleus has been divided here. This is followed by the division of cytoplasm into the several parts, and you can see that the cytoplasm is also multiplied here. So these are the daughter cells, right? And they are having their cytoplasm also with them. Each new part of cytoplasm encloses one nucleus. Now you can see that they are daughter cells, and each part encloses one of them, the nucleus. So a number of daughter cells are formed from a single parent seed, right? This was a single, and now number of daughter cells has been produced here at the same time. This kind of fission is known as a multiple fission. Now what happened here? That when suitable conditions come, the cyst which is surrounding it, it becomes degenerate, right? When it degenerates, then it releases all these nuclei or nucleus or daughter cells into the environment. Each of them grow and becomes a mature amoeba like this, as was the parent amoeba. So here, any confusion, please?
No, ma'am.
Call it the multiple fission. Why? Because in binary fission there were two daughter cells, but here you can see many daughter cells. That's why we call it the multiple fission. Let's go ahead. Here is another method of asexual reproduction, that is called the fragmentation. Fragments mean to be converted into parts, right? And it takes place in planaria. So you must know, students, planaria is an organism that can be divided by the binary fission, where it can divide into two parts. Beside it, it is also having ability to divide more than two parts. You can see that here it is divided, it has been divided into 1, 2, and 3. Each of them is making one new planaria, right? So you can say that it breaks up into 8 or 9 pieces. It means single parent can make 8 or 9 planaria, right? Here you can see that one parent planaria, it has been divided into 3 parts. We have cut it into 3 parts. Now you can see that each part is having the ability to regenerate its remaining part, and now it has completed its whole body here. Now you can see that 3 planarias are here, and it can be up to 8 or 9 pieces. In the process of the fragmentation. It's mean fragments. Fragments can be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it can up to 8 or 9. Okay. Yes. Is this point clear to you all, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
No? Who is saying no? If you are saying no, then please raise your question so I could answer you. Let me know what is your question, please. Is it enough, or should I go ahead with budding and spore formation? Is it enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We will see the next methods in our next lecture, inshallah. Till that time, you must have a good command on these previous topics, okay? So no question from your side. So I'm ending your lecture here.